Better play
Just
I think it's still video.
No, it is still recording.
How do you stop it?
Yeah.
How are you, legend? Good, mate. How you feeling, bro?
Doing good.
You ready?
No point trying to get fit now, mate.
Boys? So this time I'm mic'd up on the GoPro, but the footage didn't turn out as well as I would have liked. Check it out. Alright, we're 1 minute away from the start.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, off they go! And there they go for the 278.6 kilometre journey to Warny on the 2015 Lakes Oil Melbourne Warny Cycling Classic. And what a sight it is for Whistle Riders.
So I'm not going to make you endure that GoPro footage, but these are some of the clips that were sort of salvageable. So a bit of a hairy start. Someone's already lost their water bottle.
Fuck, there's a bottle gone already. Unlucky.
So the key with the start of this race is to stay up the front. If you get caught down the back, you can get caught in crashes, all sorts of things. That's why everyone's sort of fighting to get to the front. It's early days. 42 kilometres in now. Starting to feel a little bit fatigued. But long way to go, man, long way to go. All right, so this is where it is a mutual piss stop. Everybody pulls over. It's called a pisso. So all the boys just, I don't need one, fortunately, but no one attacks during this period. Well, I shouldn't do anyway. Hey boys, do you mind taking this GoPro? Is that all right?
Find us after.
I will.
Is it still going?
Do you have any like fucking good food? I think in the back stand I've got some LCM.
Do you want some date cake, Linda?
Is there any like muffins or
Donuts?
oh yeah.
Yeah.
So here's my post-Warny rundown. We'll have a chat with Nick Squillari, who races for Sate Custom Clothing. Now he was away in the break with a group of 5 other riders for most of the race, and they amassed this huge 16-minute lead, and eventually got caught down by the big NRS teams, but he was out there all day. So we have a quick chat with Nick, and we just ask him what his thoughts were on the race. You're racing for Sate Custom.
Yep.
So, and you had how many blokes in the team?
We had 6 on the day.
Yeah.
So our main sprinter, Jason Lowndes, who has just come back from a terrific season in Canada.
Yep.
He unfortunately was sick and couldn't line up, because otherwise we would have been all in for him. He's a pretty fast unit, so I don't. With all due respect to Jace, he'll probably admit that he's not Scott Sunderland fast, but he would have been up there in the end if he had been fit and healthy. But yeah, unfortunately couldn't get up.
Okay, so the team strategy was obviously to try and get the sprinter to the finish, but with him not being there, did the strategy change, or? What happened?
Well, I mean, it wasn't anything really that we needed to talk about with Jason being there. It was, there were a few guys who had some good legs. A few boys had already put their hand up to say, "Yeah, I want to be in the early move." I didn't necessarily say that simply because, I know how I've said it before, and I know how hard it can be to get in the move in any NRS race, especially the Melbourne Warnable, especially the 100th edition.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So it was, play the best hand that you're dealt. If you're there and you want to get up the road, do it. But there was no obligation to be working for any one specific rider once Jason was out.
Yeah. You were pretty much in the mix from what stage did you go up the road?
So I left the peloton just as we got onto the Hamilton Highway.
Yeah.
So we came down
50 k's into the race.
Yeah, I'd say about 50, 60 k's. We'd come down Friend in Hand Road. Being local roads, I knew that that road's just a complete mess.
Yeah, yeah.
And the peloton had already sort of started to shut off over the top of Dog Rocks, so it was very easy to get to the front.
Yeah.
So grabbed a bite, got to the front, went around the corner, and was at the first dozen wheels around the corner. No one was really interested in, everyone was just going to roll along. And I thought, well, two guys up the front, they don't really have much of a lead. I've rolled off. Pete Casey had the same idea. And then Sam Hill was frothing to get in another move. So he bridged across to us within a couple of minutes and we all started chopping off. Away we went.
So good. So for people that weren't or aren't watching in Australia, the first 50Ks were just an absolute, well, they were diabolical. It was people just attacking, and it was a very nervous bunch. And
it was pretty typical. It was pretty typical Melbourne Warnable, really. I was in three moves because I said the aim was to definitely try and get up the road and see what could happen. And truth be told, I probably spent a few too many bickies early, getting in some moves that looked pretty good. We had the right mix there. The budget rider represented. There was an AWS rider. Not really any charter or Avanti for the team's class reasons that have already been mentioned.
Yeah.
But yeah, and all three of those came back, and I was just like, you watch the next move, will be the one that sticks. And of course, Tyson and Ed White roll off the front, without much to do, and away they go. And I was just like, it's a situation I've seen happen all too often. So
yeah.
I wasn't sitting there, burning with desire to go, damn it, I'm going to get up the road. But it just so happened that the situation presented itself pretty perfectly.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good, and it sort of opened up the door. And obviously, you went up the road pretty early. Was there any stage that you were sort of away, and was there any stage where you just thought, wow, what am I doing? Like this is going to be a long way to roll turns.
Well, yeah, the thought did cross my mind. It's a long way to go, and look, for me, I really wanted to get to Camperdown and get to the top of the KOM with the Breakaway boys, try and contest the 200k champs, and then just see where the cards fell from there. To realistically go all the way 280k's, 5 men then 6 was going to be a very, very big ask. Yeah. Especially with the amount of talent that's still sitting in the bunch.
Yeah. Was there anyone a standout in your little group who was strong, or can you talk us through how the guys were going in the break?
Oh, look, the GPM guys definitely wanted the made it clear they wanted the sprint points, and look, I was happy for that to happen.
Yeah.
I didn't really have any designs for the sprints. I knew how much points were up for the two KOMs. They were both capped frees. So I had a bit of a chat and made it known that I won't contest any of the sprints. They're welcome to them if they'd sort of return the favour when it came to the KOMs. But unfortunately, I got piped up Camperdown, so that idea all went out the window.
Yeah. Okay. So were you? So there was 6 riders in the group as you went up through Camperdown, or 5? There was a group of 5 or 6.
Yeah, 6 of us. Yeah, Jake got to us just after we turned, took the left-hand turn out of Lismore onto the road leading to Camperdown.
Yeah.
To make it 6.
Yep.
Yeah, and it was us to the base of the craters.
Right. Okay. And so you're normally a good climber, or what? You were just fatigued going up that hill?
You know, no, I'm not. No, I'm certainly not known for climbing. Truth be told, they're not really much of a climb. It's just that they come 200 k's into a race. And,
Yeah.
You know, I've had a look at my power files afterwards, and just that old saying, you know, I was great until I wasn't.
Yeah.
I was going really well until the red warning lights started flashing, and you know, things started going pear-shaped pretty quickly. From that
Did you eat well and drink well the whole way, or were you getting looked after?
Yeah, I think so. I felt I ate well enough. I definitely had enough. I had enough water.
Yeah.
Maybe we should have gotten a bit more energy in. God knows, you know, even after I got over the top and the final 80 k's, you know, pushing 250 watts, about nigh on impossible. So the tank was just completely empty. And again, I probably just did a little bit too much earlier on in a couple of the moves. You know, I've had a brief look at the file, and probably just mucked around a little bit too much. You know, and I wasn't to know they weren't going to stick, but I paid the price for it a bit later on.
Yeah, so you're talking about the early breaks, because I mean, for people that weren't there was a lot of attacks early. It was constant, wasn't it? There must have been, before we got to the stage where you went away, there must have been 40 attacks, I reckon. Would you say that? It was just constant all the way.
Yep. Plus that you had the fact that there were a lot of sprint points up for grabs. There were a lot of changes in direction. You know, zigzagging all our way, sort of southwest. You know, so there was road furniture to contend with, a nervous bunch, sprint points, guys wanting to get into race. It was just there was just a lot of factors at play that it just led to a just constant attack. You had that small KOM, you know, sort of just after you've gone through past the Yangs, which is normally a point previously in previous warnings where moves have gotten away. So I was in one up over that. I had a budget rider there, and actually put a fair bit into that. Then another move as we were coming up to Dog Rocks. And it was when that one came back that Tyson and Ed rolled away.
Yeah. And so you decided. And so you just decided you were going across to that.
Yeah, well, that's when the peloton decided that was it. They were going to sit up and let that break, you know, play out for however long it was, you know, however long they could manage. I thought, this you know, I knew what would happen. It would be, you know, hours of soft tapping, and I thought, you know, if they had pulled me back, that would have been it for the day.
Yeah,
would have sat in the bunch, but they weren't too worried about three guys going up the road. And truth be told, it was probably the right call to make. Three guys, we probably need another three of us to really do a bit more damage. I mean, we got 16 and a half minutes, but that was still never going to stick with 100 k's still to go. Yeah.
So did you understand at the time what was going on in the main peloton and the fact that they were... I mean, I remember looking down at my speedo. We were doing 22 k's an hour. And I was like, why are we going so slow here? And, you know, and so I was often thinking, do you guys in the break know why we were going so slow?
Oh, yeah. I mean, they were just, you know, they were happy to conserve and happy to, you know, do what the break's meant to do. You know, rack up a bit of TV time, a bit of sponsorship promo, and you know, and sort of set the stage for, you know, for the second attack and to see what, and basically, you know, the race is on when you get to Camperdown, which, you know, Bobridge, you know, proved.
Yeah.
Once it gets to those craters, it's and we knew that. We knew we needed a good gap when we got to the craters, and you know, we were being given time gaps, and we had the discussion about the team meeting early in the morning where the managers were told, if you have 15, you know, if the break gets out to more than 15 minutes, we're gonna pull it. We're gonna pull the bunch. That didn't happen, but there was a discussion in the break that was what was said.
Yeah.
We honestly didn't expect that would happen. But that's what the comment said.
Well, this is interesting because I spoke with a couple of people about this today, and you know, it's an interesting topic. Like, did you push on the pedals harder to push that out to 16 minutes, 16 and a half minutes? You know, were you expecting? I mean, look, at the end of the day, had they got pulled, which is what was promised, you guys would have been the race. You would have been sprinting
right.
for the 100th Melbourne to Warrnambool.
I tell you what, if they had been pulled, the first thing we would have done is pull over and we had a 5-minute siesta. Smoko.
Yeah.
Cup of tea and a Bex, so to speak, and just have lunch actually.
Yeah.
But look, no, we didn't expect them to get pulled. But when the commentator says that at the team meeting, you take that at face value. And so we gave it a bit more of a nudge to see what would actually happen, and got to 15 minutes, and then got told it was 16 and 16 and a half, and they weren't pulled, and we're just like, all right, well, it is what it is.
Yeah,
we keep
right.
racing.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, I suppose you would agree that it's better for the sport that they weren't pulled. There was obviously a women's race involved as well, and it was so the women did amazing. It was just so good to see so many, looking around the bunch, so many women involved in the race. It was awesome.
Yes, it was definitely. Yeah, I mean, look, if they had pulled them, well, it would have been one way to get worldwide coverage of your race.
Yeah.
But probably not for the right reasons.
That's exactly right.
Probably not the best look in the 100th edition either.
Yeah, and it's such a great race. I partially read the book, the book you get. And I partially read some of that, and it was just such a great story. The Russell Mockridge story when they rode from Melbourne from Warrnambool to Melbourne, and I was just like, two guys off scratch.
Yeah.
What's his name? Someone Taylor and Russell Mockridge, and I was like, how did you guys do that?
Yeah.
Because I found it so hard just sitting in the bunch.
Yeah, absolutely, and they would have had a tailwind, most likely.
Yeah.
It would have been luckily South Wesley, so not a huge amount of sit in the tailwind.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. So a couple more questions, mate. What was the hardest part of the race? So from just thinking back to the race, where were you suffering the most?
Oh, definitely about 10 k's out from Camperdown, when the realisation came that I didn't have much left.
Yeah.
And I was having to sit in, and so felt bad for the other boys who I'd been in the break with, because I was the first guy to really crack. Yeah. So nobody wants to be that guy to rise yourself into the break and to bring yourself out of it. It's you get taught by your DS. The worst thing you can do is rise yourself out of a break, and that's pretty much what I did.
Yeah.
So that was the worst part. That was pretty shit.
Yeah, that would have been very. And was it anything to do with food intake or water, or you just think it was the fact that you were out there riding so hard for so long?
Oh, definitely a combination. Maybe if I could have eaten more, could I have made it over Camperdown? Yeah, possibly. Yeah. Look, I definitely know, like, everything from about 4 hours onwards is a power PB. So I've never gone that deep before. So
yeah.
To get the confirmation that I was cooked, and there was a very, very good reason for it. All you can do is all you can do is what my coach is very fond of saying. He wasn't disappointed. I certainly was, but at the end of the day,
it is. Yeah,
it is what it is. I couldn't have done it.
So lessons learned. What will you take into next year?
Lessons learned. Yeah, I don't know. I gotta get harder. Gotta get stronger.
Would you change your training? Would you put more motor pacing sessions? Would you ride longer?
No, moto sessions didn't change really.
No. Did you do them leading up?
Not as much this year. Honestly, I just haven't had the time because I'm back working back working full time now. So
Yeah.
your expendable time to plan a moto session and all those sort of things that I've had in the years previous has just gone out the window. And, moto is really good for getting the leg speed up and for holding speeds within the bunch and just for holding a good race pace and a good race intensity. And that wasn't my downfall. It wasn't that I couldn't hold the pace, I couldn't hold the intensity, at the power and speeds that I do in a moto. I just didn't have the longer term engine. So I don't know. Maybe the only way I would work a moto into any training sessions would maybe be at the end of 4.5 hours, 5 hours ride, and then hit the moto, which I know guys in the past have done, and and it can work pretty well. So that maybe trying to find 300, 350 watt efforts after 5 hours in the saddle.
Yeah.
Might be the only thing I could change and work on.
Yeah.
Maybe be a bit smarter in the early moves.
Yeah.
And not go so nuts.
Yeah.
A bit more selective.
Were you affected by any of the crashes or the?
I didn't see a single one.
Really, that's awesome. It just goes to show you're obviously at the front the whole way. Then.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've learned from races in the past. I actually in the Warny haven't been caught in a crash. I've been caught behind crashes in the Warny, and I've been forced off the road and punched because of a crash in the Warny. I've never actually been in a pile-up, so I've just learned that I've got to race. I've got to race close to the front to try and avoid it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, not everyone can be at the front, so there are points. There were points I was halfway down the punch, and it's just like, nah, this isn't good.
Yeah. So, of the other riders, final question: who was most impressive to you? Obviously you would have been at the front of the bike race. You would have seen some strong boys.
Yeah.
Come across to that break.
Yeah. Look, obviously Jake bridging across. The hour and
Jake Kaufman.
Hour and a half, or however long it took him. It took him a while to get across, and we weren't soft pedaling.